Nothing. Hey, everybody. Chuck
Hey,
Cook here with the ever guapo Greg Ziskin.
that's right.
We got our brand up in the corner up here. We're just flying. It's great to be with you. We're going to excuse Aaron tonight. We're going to talk about why he's not here tonight.
I,
But we have him working in the secret cave on a kind of a large series of cases that we're doing that are kind of new, that are kind of a little more discreet than the stuff we normally do. But we just wanted to let you know what's going on because mostly there's no news. There's no news in any of the K1 cases, none of the DV cases, nothing. So let's kind of just walk through those so that we
there's
can.
some side news about things that affect our cases, like ending the travel bans and that kind of stuff.
Right.
So we'll mention them as appropriate.
Right. So the Go case, of course, our decision is the 30th. The government has 30 days to appeal. The government has not responded to my request for information. And at the end of the day, the government can appeal. And if they appeal, though, they still have to start issuing visas. Well, they still have to issue visas by the end of the year. They don't have to start issuing them, except that they've got a deadline in January that they're going to have to report to the judge on. So unless they get a stay, which of course we will fight like crazy, they should be looking at these visas to issue them. We'll see. Oddly enough, I do have one of the lawyers that argued the Go case was Joshua Press. I actually have him tomorrow on another case, so I'm going to kind of touch base with him and ask him about what his client's doing in this case.
Hey,
Uh,
Chuck,
yes.
I was going to mention on Go because we've had contact. I mean, we've had two different groups of people contact us just in the last 24 hours asking for our assistance in helping one nationality's DV winners trying to get to get the visas issued to them in another country. And last week we had somebody that was contacted us and said he had a whole group of people that wanted them allocated in this particular way, which obviously benefited the person that was sending it to us. We can't engage with any of that. So the question to ask yourself before you reach out to us is, if impact litigation, if Chuck, if I or anybody on our team helped you, would it have the impact of potentially disadvantaging any other plaintiffs in the case? So in other words, if we help nationals of one country, is that neutral, or does that potentially mean visas are taken away from people from another country? We can't do anything which favors one group of clients or one group of plaintiffs over another group of plaintiffs, no matter no matter how logical or deserving one group thinks they are. So please don't ask us to do that, because we're not ethically allowed to do that. We have very strict rules as far as in a mass case what we can do. So I just think it's better probably for you to just think that through before you contact us, making that picture. You can do that on your own. You can make whatever request you want to make or advocate however you want to make on your own. You just can't ask us to do it on your behalf, because we have an ethical obligation to all of you, and we can't do things that benefit one group of you over another group of you.
This is one of the most frustrating things about Judge Maida's order is he knew that was going to happen. He really put us in a very difficult situation. That's the one thing I'm quite disappointed about. But every lawyer is in that situation at this point on the DV 2021. As to the DV 2020 case, that's about a week or so behind the Go people, Gomez Acker. And same situation. The government has 30 days to appeal, which I think is November 7th or 8th or something like that. I can't recall the exact day. But it still goes into effect. They still have to issue all the visas, and there's a lot of them. There's 9,095. The judge corrected his order, as we said he would. They will have to start issuing those because they also have subject to a reporting requirement in January. So I
think Curtis posted something online with an excerpt of something from the government, looking like they were planning on filing an appeal on these cases.
I couldn't download it, so I couldn't see it. I was on
so we obviously were waiting to see what's going to happen on that. Hopefully they will do the right thing, but I'm not counting on it because they haven't done the right thing all along. So But just expect that. I think we have I think it's a pretty weak case on their end to appeal. But
I think it's a terrible case for them to appeal. I mean,
nevertheless, it seems all they're trying to do is buy time, and they're going to, just annoy the judges.
Oh, they're going to get behind the 8 ball, because if they're not issuing the visas and they appeal, and it comes next summer and they lose the case, they now have 1 month to issue all their visas. It's Greg, the other thing that we haven't talked about yet, and we haven't put anything up yet, was a potential DV 2022 lawsuit.
Yeah.
And we've been a lot of people contacting us because they're basically doing nothing. We do know a couple of people have been scheduled, but they're clearly tier 4. It would be a massive attack on the tier system, and which of course is illegal in and of itself.
Yeah, I think what we've talked about, haven't we, is that we want to at least get a quarter's worth of data.
Exactly. So don't be asking us now about suing on DV 2022. We're going to wait and see what the first quarter numbers look like, because they should have done a quarter of the cases in the first quarter. They should have 15,000 plus cases done.
Because they get a head start.
Yeah.
They don't just start adjudicating these cases on October 1st. They have
we know one person had an October 1 interview. That's what I know. One person had an October 1 interview. But beyond that, we don't know.
Yeah, I would be really surprised if we don't end up litigating on that, because there's no indication that anything's changed at the Department of State on how they're doing it.
Make sure we put it in Judge Maida's courtroom. So we talked about Milligan. The Milligan case is over. And I also want to talk briefly about the Kinsley case. Now, we have 8 or 9 clients, and one of them, at least, the embassy in London has not called them back. So I reached out to government counsel on Thursday and said, look, you're under specific orders for these plaintiffs to issue their visas, regardless of NIE. When are you going to do it? And, I got the standard, I'll get back to you when I talk to my client. Boy, hiding behind your client and not answering stuff, I got to tell you, it's getting old. It's really getting old. That's why I would love to get them in the courtroom, maybe file a contempt motion if they don't do something. Now, Greg, this is an opportune time to talk about the lifting of the travel bans.
Yeah, so there's been quite a bit of activity in the last couple of days regarding entry to the United States. Mostly good news. It's, we saw, it's not really this case, but we saw first an announcement on Canada and Mexico, and rules changing there regarding land borders. If you have a vaccine, this will be the theme. If you have a vaccine that is FDA approved or World Health Organization approved, then you will be able to enter. And that's basically what the travel bans abroad are being replaced with as well. Right now, the CanSin, the Chinese one, and the and Sputnik, the Russian ones, are not.
I thought China was approved by the WHO.
At least New York Times was reporting that they weren't, but the Mexican government was trying to that they thought that might, by the time this stuff rolled out, that might be over with, because they were trying to seek approval from WHO on these. So anyway, the key on it is that don't show up at a port of entry unless you confirm that the vaccine you have is acceptable at that time. And I'm not sure at the consulates.
Sinopharm is approved per the CDC.
Which one?
It's the Chinese vaccine, Sinopharm and Sinovac. Both of those are approved.
Okay, good. All right. Well, in any case, that's something you need to double check. There's if you go to CBP's website or travel.state.gov, they link to a CDC page which has more information on it. But that's something that is going to, obviously raise question marks. November 8th is the day that the travel bans go away for the countries that were the subject of the Kinsley suit. So they should be issuing visas now based on the litigation, but they haven't made any announcements to that effect. My guess is they're probably just going to kind of play, ignore us and try and just say, right, November 8th is the day. And after November 8th, there's no ban anymore anyway. So,
there remains a ban if you're not vaccinated.
Well, but it's across the world.
Right. And so you'd have to get an NIE.
There's no longer anything special about these 35 countries. After that, it's a worldwide system again. And
so here's my question: can you get an NIE if you're not vaccinated?
I think you have until November 8th.
That's what's unclear. This is why the Biden administration has been a disaster. I mean, a disaster on immigration. They got some really smart people who aren't doing their jobs or aren't very smart people. One of those two things is true.
Well, who's ever run their response at State Department.
It's just awful. It's just awful. Just absolutely awful. And so we'll see. We'll have more of an update on that going forward. I was going to let you guys know what was going on. Yeah. On the K1 family-based Cairo case, as far as I know, there's only one person waiting for a decision from Cairo, and we're about we're going to dismiss. I mean, as soon as we can, this other stuff we're doing this week, we're going to have to dismiss because the suit's over. I mean, we got the interviews, so that's kind of where everybody is there. K1 Rio, they have been interviewing, and so we're they're in good shape, kind of not perfect, but they're better. K1 London, I think Lily updated us that of the half the people have had interviews and the other half are on their way there or something like that. Moscow and Manila remain problematic. So Moscow and Manila. And of course, we're waiting on motions to dismiss decisions in all of these cases. I just don't have it. So what we're doing, and we talked about this last week, if you've gotten your visa, please update the database. We're going to file notices of dismissal for plaintiffs that have visas, which then bubbles the case up on the court's docket and maybe help them pay attention to the motion to dismiss. So that's
really all we can do, or just do things to kind of wave, look at us on this to get the judge's attention, because we don't have any real power. The judge doesn't have a deadline, and you also want to be careful not to anger the judge. So we have to be, circumspect a little bit and put things in front of them that are appropriate. But that's the challenge that we have, is how to get the judge's attention in a way that doesn't anger the judge.
Okay. For the EB-5 suit, we have a hearing in front of Judge Mehta. I think it's on the 30th, Greg, if I'm not mistaken, that morning, to talk about, not the 30th, when was it, the 22nd? I have to go back in my calendar, the 21st, maybe the 20th. I have to go to my calendar and see. We have a hearing in front of Judge Mehta to talk about, it's actually Wednesday, the 20th. See what's going on with this case. The reality is there is no EB-5 program, so public's going to dismiss it. And then once EB-5 comes back, we'll just refile it. I mean, and just kind of go from there. But we're kind of talking.
The government lawyers seem like they were okay with just waiting on it.
Nobody.
This is coming back onto their. I mean, I'm not sure what they.
Well, keep in mind what happened was the government in California had filed a motion to dismiss. Then the judge sent the whole thing to Judge Mehta, and the government lawyer in D.C. didn't say anything. We just, let's not say anything. And we just kind of sat there. And then, Judge Mehta just got to it, which is weird because we have cases in which we want decisions. We can't get them. And we have cases we don't want a decision, and we got it. So I will tell you on the H-1B lottery abuse case, we've got I think, we're just kind of waiting to see what the judge does on this motion to dismiss there as well. He hasn't set a hearing date yet. He may not have a hearing. We don't know, but we're waiting to see. We do have a Trump judge for that case, and we'll see what happens. But our lawsuit will continue. Dismiss, we'll refile.
Yeah, we're suing Biden.
Yeah, Biden. We dismiss, we'll resue. I mean,
if he's a partisan kind of guy, then he might not mind our suing Biden.
So we'll go back on that one. On the EB-AUS delay cases, just so that you know, we are dismissing all the Nebraska cases have been dismissed, and a number of them got approved. We're dismissing all the Texas cases right now. For several of the individuals, we are actually filing new lawsuits based upon the EB-3 retrogression. We'll be filing those tomorrow in Texas and Nebraska only, because we're admitting.
Why Aaron's not here?
Yeah, that's why. Aaron is actually finalizing the complaints and the TROs. These will all be individual cases for those individuals. There are others that we have kind of quietly been working behind the scenes, like the National Benefits Center, which we worked on a number of cases from. A number of people got approved. We dismissed the rest, but they're working on them. And we did reach out to people whose cases are at individual offices around the country. Just that, we haven't dismissed, anything that hasn't been approved yet at those individual offices, because the government lawyers are looking into the cases for us, see if they can't get them approved before the end, before retrogression for EB3s. We also have a number of people whose EB3s retrogressed already, and there's no case left for you. And a number of people that have been approved. We have one random case where husband was approved, the principal, wife wasn't approved. So he filed a FOIA request to find out where his wife's medical was, which then moved the case from the service center to the FOIA place, the National Benefits Center, to withdraw the FOIA now, so they can, and that they did, and the case is now going back for adjudication. So hopefully we'll get that done as well. And Greg, are we onboarding for the EAD suit, or are we not onboarding for the EAD?
Well, we have a number of people onboarded. We mentioned last week that Ayla has signed on with us to do that, but so we haven't been adding new people in the last week, because I think we're just trying to get figure out structure-wise.
Our EAD case to attack one of our plaintiffs today in the H-1B delay case. I mean the AOS delay case. He got an actual response to a congressional inquiry that said, "Hey, our average processing time for an EAD is 10 and a half months. So, he's not ready yet. He filed his case 11 months ago. So first of all, it's outrageous that they're telling people, one, hey, 10 and a half months to get your travel document and your work permit. Two, the head of USCIS is telling judges, well, judge, they'll have work permits and travel documents. They don't have any problems. They don't need an adjustment right away. So that's, we've got the complaint that we'll be filing tomorrow. It's got some great facts. Many of you have been helpful that have been approved, because you've given us information about when you filed and when you were approved. And a lot of you filed after our clients have filed and were approved. That creates the big lie that first in, first out. There is no first in, first out on this. All right, Greg, let's ask some questions here. We got some questions. The good news is we're not going to go the full hour today, thank goodness, because we got to get back and finish these complaints. Patrick, good to see you again. 10 minutes. You would think the consuls would get tired of hearing from senators and congressmen. Patrick asked, maybe they're clogging the courts with these vaccine cases. Actually, there's not that many of those cases. We can't tell you why it's taking so long. In DC, of course, one thing that has clogged the courts are all the insurrectionist cases. Those are all over the docket. And I see Judge Maida and Judge McFadden quoted all the time. Does Boasberg all the time in the press about these ongoing cases. So they're all doing that. Does having Mr. Law gone from Manila Embassy affect our case? Would he be the main person that was geared to since you're head of the embassy? Well, there's a new head of the embassy. I mean, there's presumably a new charge d'affaires, a new consular general that's in charge. So no, the fact that they changed is irrelevant to the lawsuit. So don't worry about that, Mike.
It doesn't affect the lawsuit, but sometimes changing who's running it, a particular consulate may change the attitude at the consulate regarding what's.
I've seen that happen, Greg, very effectively, but also very negatively.
Yeah.
You get some guy that comes in that's, these guys are in charge. They're long-time career guys. They're 20 years, 25 years in the Foreign Service. And a lot of them are jaded, Some of them aren't. Some of them are just like, we're going to fix this. I ran into a guy in Mexico about 10 years ago, man. He whipped that consulate into shape. Boom. They went from one of the worst in the world to one of the best in the world because of what he was doing. That's, you just don't know who's going there.
Yeah.
A lot of them have misconceptions or set conceptions about Manila, and they bring that with them as well. Hamideh Riazi, does the country of origin impact our chances of getting interview if documentarily qualified? Well, with the Biden release of bans, it should be irrelevant where you're from, right? Muslim ban's gone, and the country ban's gone.
Yeah, although we haven't heard. This is one of the mysteries right now about these cases is how the State Department plans on. They haven't made any announcements about the order or how they're going to figure out how to allocate or carry out the judge's order. And they're probably still thinking about the appeal and not the carrying it out. But we're in the dark as well as far as what how this is supposed to work.
Yep. Blake Jordan, reusing of unused Easy Path diversity lotteries still in the Dems reconciliation bill. So my first question is this, Greg. What reconciliation bill?
Well, there is a reconciliation bill that is that is still being negotiated. The immigration piece on it is also up in the air. There's this Plan C that the Democrats are about to introduce, which is just basically making DACA statutory, which is not what they wanted. But the idea is, if they can deal with that population in some kind of at least deliver something for that population, there is a feeling that the backlog reduction stuff has some legs as far as the parliamentarian goes. And there is DV language in the backlog reduction language, which will essentially reclaim for the last 4 years the unused DV numbers. So there's still some hope, but we don't have news.
Now, what I heard is that it was Thursday, the 14th, when they had this plan, and they were getting ready to give it to the parliamentarian, possibly on Monday. It didn't happen as far as I can tell. So I would assume that's this week. But Nancy Pelosi wants to vote on this whole thing by Halloween. So who knows?
Well, the parliamentarian, if she's going to okay it, won't. The good news is she doesn't. I don't think she's going to take all that long. And the language is all written essentially for the backlog reduction stuff because it's already passed the House. So it's I don't think it will take the Democrats all that much time to be able to deal with this as soon as they have a green light.
29 Super C, can you give me content on your office, perhaps schedule a consultation? That's a great question. Can I do that? Here is mine. Greg, I need to do yours.
Just go to visalaw.com. It's real easy.
Yeah, visalaw.com. www. I'm going to put that up so
you can engage with the bot that I helped design.
There you go. Go to Greg's bot. My website.
The bot is a scheduling bot. It actually helps you get to the lawyer that you're going to talk to and schedule an appointment right in their calendar.
That's awesome. We have that way too hidden on our website. This is ours, Greg and I, we have great websites, by the way. Visalaw.com, immigration.net. I think they call that early adopters.
Well, Chuck, I used to own that domain name.
I know, and I didn't like I you sold it to. But that was well over 20 years ago when I've had this.
My domain name is turning 30 soon.
We want you to see your fiance by Christmas. Greg, I had a consult today. Some guy called me. He'd done last November. He was complaining because he filed his fiance petition last November of 2020. It was approved in May, completed processing by the MVC in August. And he said, they're not interviewing her. And he's from New Zealand. I said, well, that country's closed. So if you'd have called me last November, what I would have told you is, do not do a fiance visa. All right. Priyanka, Mr. Siskin, what is the status of the EAD delay case?
Yeah, so right now we're working with AILA to just figure out the how we're filing this, because it looks like we're going to do it as a class action, correct, Chuck?
Correct.
Yes, I heard.
Class action.
Which is a little more complicated than the way we've done these cases previously. So we will have news very soon. We are getting all these other cases we have to get filed tomorrow, and then we will be able to refocus on EADs after tomorrow.
Okay. If you contacted the KCC to move your case, you did it wrong. You have to get permission from the accepting consulate to take your case. Then, with that email you get from that consulate, they will tell you where to go. Now, it's outrageous that it's not automatic for Iraq or Russia or Iran, where there's no consulates, or Venezuela. Well, Venezuela is automatic. It's Colombia, or Cuba's for Guyana. But, that's what you need to do. Maryland, we talked earlier about this for Go. There's no interviews yet. It's not going to be till November at the earliest, or longer if they appeal. If Kinsley, the judge doesn't appeal a forced decision number 6, they're obviously willing to clock it out. Francois, just so you know, and there's one of our plaintiffs, I reached out to my counterpart, the government counsel, and said, what's going on? This is one freaking visa. Issue the visa. I mean, this is not that hard. This is taking 5 minutes and the case is over, and then you can make it go away. I don't understand why they would want to appeal that. It's a district court decision. It's not binding on anything. Why don't they make it go away? They could get it dismissed, but they're not. Let's see. How can we find out what immigrant visas an embassy is doing monthly? That we do know how to do. You go to CEAC Statistics. CEAC Statistics. And that is the Department of State's website for monthly statistics, which they actually do a pretty good job of doing, don't they, Greg? They actually, put stuff up there. I'm actually going to put that post here. I kind of put it down below. You can go to that link that's down below there, and you can, which I put up right there, and you can go see what they're doing. Let's see. Any idea when we'll submit the motion for dismissal? That's Danielle. We're going to do that this week by Thursday or Friday. That's the goal. Does it mean the government appeals whilst? I haven't used the word whilst in quite a while. And going vis-a-vis or 2021. Again, they have to issue the visas even if they appeal, unless they get a stay. Okay. Let's see. What are the chances of the Poonam princess? What are the chances of Nepalese plaintiff? I don't know. We don't know the answer to your question because we don't know how government's going to do this stuff. Okay. Yep. Daniel, you can get a reporter to write a story about they've been sued, they keep losing, and they still haven't done squat. I think that helps. I've been sure it doesn't help us. If you are not a winner of the DV 2021 case as a plaintiff, you are not getting a DV 2021 visa. Is that correct, Greg? Mm-hmm. If you're not a plaintiff,
that's the way the judge drew up the decision.
There's no visas unless you're a winner.
That's different than Gomez. That's different than DV 2020.
All right. Oh my goodness, Ranjith. EB5 interview scheduled for November 3rd. Concur in October 3rd. What are my options? Oh, he's also. So, Ranjit, do you have an AUS interview in your local office? What you need to do is get your lawyer to call your local office immediately and say he's going to age out he's going to retrogress by then. He needs to get in sooner, or get your lawyer to file a TRO with against your local office. That's what I would do if you were my adjustment of status client. Let's see. This one, I don't quite using one case and using between. Oh, yeah. Well, no, Kieran. The reality is that part of the case ended, and we're going to have to litigate that issue again. That's a different issue I have to litigate in more of a group, probably a class action setting. But that will have to wait. We still have the ability to do that right now. But I think that's an issue that's ripe for adjudication. Okay. Primary applicant got the defendant did not. You need to call the 800 number, or call your congressman, or call your lawyer to get that done. Great question. Let's see. Any idea of holiday hours for the consulates? Holiday hours. They're closed on Christmas. I imagine they're closed on Thanksgiving and the day after. They're likely closed on Christmas Eve. Most assuredly, they're closed on New Year's Eve and New Year's Day. And whatever other national holidays exist in the countries they're in, they will close for those too.
Do they close on Friday after Thanksgiving?
Oh, they're always open, but then the president historically gives them the day off.
I see.
So it's not a holiday the day after, but the last several presidents have given them that day off because of all their hard work. Connor Ryan and Jet Feather Nuts and worth appealing Go. We are not appealing Go. Now, on our own. If the government appeals, we will consider a cross appeal at that point. but we are not appealing Go as it sits right now because that would damage clients. Has too much harm potential for damage.
Right. So if we appealed Go, it risks like the whole thing falling down.
We're not allowed to do that. You can't do that.
Right. So if the government appeals and we're sort of stuck, dealing with this appeal, then that kind of changes the equation.
So last question here, Sarah Duran. Sarah, welcome to the Manila Conundrum. First of all, Greg, do you recall what tier employment-based cases are?
Low.
With the lottery cases, they're at the bottom, baby. They're at the bottom. So why aren't they doing them? Any excuse not to let people in the country. Biden and Trump may actually be the same person. I'm not quite sure yet. They may actually be like Jekyll and Hyde, but are really the same person. Really, have you really seen them together before? I mean, where have you seen them together at the same time? Oh, they can fake the debates, don't you know? So where have you seen them?
I'm not saying anything on that.
I'm saying nothing about that. That's all there is. I'll say, Greg, do you have anything else for tonight? I think we're good for tonight. We'll be back next week. Greg, you've got Thursday? Is that right?
I'm talking tomorrow, and then Friday I'm in St. Petersburg for the Central Florida immigration chapter.
Now that's St. Petersburg, Florida, not St. Petersburg, Russia. For all you Russians going, Greg's coming to the motherland. No, he's not. Greg, is your ancestry from Russia?
It is from areas that were once called Russia, but not today.
Not today. Anyway, great to see everybody. I'll see you on Wednesday. You guys have a great day. Bye-bye.